Hi, Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper, back with another unboxing. As you can see here in the warehouse, I've got quite a few collections that I've been working on. Some of them over here that you can kind of see the boxes. But right here today, I want to open up this box, which has got some really historically significant items in it. Definitely want to share the history with you so that the legacy of this scout can continue on. This came to me from a family where I bought it from the gentleman's daughter. He's since passed away, but he did his scouting in the late 1930s, which is so cool for me. I always think any collection that's kind of pre-World War II is very special, and I think this one is. I want to open up the box and show you the cool stuff inside, and we'll share in a little bit of the excitement getting this stuff out for the first time. Okay, I have the box open, and right on top there was a really nice note from the family. So let me just share this with you because, again, it kind of shows what their wishes were. It says here, Jason, our family is grateful to have found a home for our father's beloved Boy Scout memorabilia with someone who appreciates the history and experiences the items represent. My father would be honored that you will see the value in keeping the collection intact and have the desire to share with the next generation of scouts. That's definitely the plan. Sometimes I get collections where it's things where already have a million zillion of, and there's really no way to keep it intact, and so I have to try to find people to then disperse it to and share it in order to get it recycled. But sometimes you get sort of a generational collection that is just so cool, it deserves to have its own display. And certainly that's one of my aspirations, is to continue to share this stuff with scouting history, whether it be in person or on YouTube videos like this where anybody can see it. So let's take a look at this collection. So this is the first thing. I don't, just to protect the family's privacy, I don't want to share the name. But her dad's name was Ralph, and got the silver beaver in his council in Texas, and so that would be cool piece. And then this is kind of the thing I was talking to them about, is that it's not often that you see a collection that is like really, really intact, where someone has kept everything together. And so right here, you can see these are all from the 1930s in this photo album, all of his rank and merit badge cards showing all the things that he earned. Again, this type of stuff, the paper, is the unappreciated thing in a scouting memorabilia display. A lot of times, people like me, patch collectors, we like to put just patches and patches and patches because that's kind of what goes in our albums. But it's all this kind of stuff that really tells the story of someone who, got in the Order of the Arrow, looks here like 1955, and then became a Brotherhood member and kept going. And then, yeah, you see here, I mean, just literally kept everything here with some other loose patches, newspaper articles, things like that. So just a lot of history here in this little flip book. And then we'll definitely take a closer look at his merit badge sash. There's a great story to be told there. This is pretty heavy. I'm guessing this is probably like a clock or something. Maybe it was a gift item. Oh, okay. No, it's just carefully packed. I'm glad I opened this up. This is where his Eagle Scout medal is, so we definitely want to get that out. And then his adult leader training knots as well. And then as we saw earlier with the silver beaver, there is the medal that will go with that certificate, and a couple of other smaller things in there as well. The really nice vintage belt. This is kind of that Western style belt that was popular a long time ago with a different type of belt buckle. And then we have some uniforms that I will pull out and show you as well. And one last box. See what's in here. Oh, wow, this is cool. So I'll have to do a little homework on this, and maybe some of my friends from the Texas part can tell me what this was. But this looks a lot like one of those things where a lodge was making Indian regalia, for their dance team and for the ceremonies. And this could have been something that was used in that. So I'll kind of save this maybe for last and show you some of these things that are in this box as well. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the merit badge sash, because I think that really dives into the story of this gentleman getting his eagle before World War II. So if we fold this guy out, you can see that really a decorated scout, everything here from first class, star, life, of course, eagle. And then you look at the merit badges. These are the types of merit badges that we would, in our collecting hobby, we always have to give everything a name and a number. So we call these Type C. Type C. After square merit badges, you had kind of this right in the mid 30s, you had this time period where the outer ring was wider, about an eighth of an inch. And then you had this style, which is basically your pre World War II, so 1930s up into World War II. And it's a really impressive sash. The thing that kind of stands out as you look at it is some of the merit badges he earned are ones which, of course, today are obsolete, especially things like these farming badges. So you can see here, for example, sheep farming and hog production. I believe this one is that's a farming badge. I think it's farm mechanics. I think it's the early version of that. And this one, a lot of people think that this one is horsemanship, but I actually believe this early version, this was animal husbandry, of course, getting animals to make more animals with babies and such. And then we also have some other farming badges down here as well. Of course, that one's astronomy. And then there are a couple on the back. There's angling, and then also this one is landscape architecture. So all these are interesting merit badges. I will have to admit I'll have to do a little bit of homework on this patch that's got a little bit of damage to it, probably from a little critter biting onto the old moth. But my guess here is that that's a summer camp patch. And again, being that this guy was from Texas, hopefully I can narrow down which one that would have been. And then he had some neckerchiefs. Back in these days, there wouldn't have been that many neckerchiefs that would have been like silk screened, with the camp name and all that. So right off the top, it doesn't surprise me at all to kind of see one that's maybe sort of homemade, whether this was something like Thunderbird Patrol or something like this, or this could have been an early attempt at a troop neckerchief. These are probably going to be more of your troop neckerchief that you would see. And then here we go. This sounded interesting. You want to see, did the person have a connection to scouting later? And so 1960 National Scout Jamboree, so definitely much, much later. And then also 1957. Let me go back and look at the Silver Beaver commendation, and it's from 1977. So, interesting. We see that this gentleman, Ralph, earned his eagle before the war, but then as an adult came back, was active, and was awarded the Silver Beaver in 77. So that's quite a span. I think that these uniforms are also going to help tell some of that story. The sash is all from what you did when you were a kid, so that's very dated, but these uniforms might be able to tell us a little bit more of what he did as an adult. So this one is a good example. So 1957 National Scout Jamboree, that matches the one we saw there. And then 1960 National Scout Jamboree, he was wearing his Eagle Scout patch. Of course, he had his knot for being an adult. And also this is a training award here. And then Anatopa Lodge 60, there's the flap there. Again, 60 Jamboree. So this is an interesting uniform. Somebody who went to the 57, and then when he was going to the 60, he kind of kept his 57 patch here as a little point of pride, kept his Eagle Scout patch here, a little point of pride. Maybe the people who have the insignia control guide would say, oh, you're not really supposed to have all those on simultaneously, but if you earned it, you can wear it. And again, we can see this was definitely the shirt worn for that 60 Jamboree because it has a Region 9 1960 Jamboree region patch on it. And again, Alamo Area Council there. Let's check out this shirt here, see if we can get more some clues. And so this one is a little bit smaller. I'm trying to see here. Okay, so Beaver Patrol and a Troop 28 in the Alamo Area Council and first class rank. So my guess would be this would have been his son, because if you were born in like say late 20s and you were an Eagle Scout before the war, then that typical baby boomer. This is a 1950s patch. That's probably what this would represent. I didn't ask the family that. I didn't get that from the family, but I'm just putting two and two together. And then if we look at this one here, this is also interestingly, historically, you see that these plastic buttons is a much older style of uniform, probably from the 40s. And then there's less stuff on here. There's a Scoutmaster patch, and this Scoutmaster patch doesn't say Scoutmaster, but the silver on the green is what tells you. And again, Troop 28 in San Antonio. And then we have a square eagle patch that's been sort of what we sort of like to call cut to round. So someone cut the square part out to make it look like the oval patch, because in the 19, maybe just, I'm not sure why you would have done that. And then it looks like there was a patch here that was removed from the shirt at some time. Again, could have been a Jamboree patch. There's no really way to tell that for sure. So, all right. Mentioned that we were going to get into this. Oh, let me show you the Eagle medal. Can't skip over that. That's pretty important. All right, so I don't have a close-up camera today where I can show this to you laying flat, but you can see there a couple of palms, and so these represent, of course, earning over the 21 merit badges that were required for Eagle, and so it looks to me like he has a silver and a gold, bronze, gold palm, eagle palm, and then this is the old style sterling silver medals that they used to have, just in really really nice condition. So that'll be something that'll go with that sash, and then of course the silver beaver will go with that as well. So it'll be, really a nice display. All right, let's see some of the fun little stuff in here. All right. As you know, guys from back in that day, they wore neckerchiefs, and so one of the ways you could really kind of bling, if you will, your scout uniform would be to have neckerchiefs. And so that's pretty cool, hand carved. This is Region 9, which would have been like Texas, Oklahoma, that part of the country. We already saw the 1961 there. And then another neckerchief slide. This one's kind of cool. I think that's made from a shell of some kind, or maybe, no, I guess that's going to be a piece of wood that was carved, and it's got the little shield painted here, then with a spear. Again, guys would spend a lot of time at summer camp working on this. That is so clever. Look at that little guy there, and he's carrying a couple of fish. I thought I've never seen something like that. A lot of ingenuity there. Little, Texas, can't go wrong with the little cow horns. And then some of you would have seen something like this before, like a Crazy Eight design there. Let me pull the bubble wrap out so I can get to some more items. Oh, this one's cool. Check this out. That's a hand carved elephant. That is just really, really well done. And of course, again, neckerchief slide. This is the kind of things that scouts would have spent some time on. And then this one as well, like the carving here is really, really intricate. Look at that. That is cool. Little bear eating a salmon. That is really cool. Here's a big apple with a little worm coming out of it. Now check these out. Little moccasins, painted moccasins. And of course, you'd feed the neckerchief through those little slots there. And then a big old OA. And this is kind of clever how he did that, left some space in there and put a piece of leather glued on it in order to turn that into a neckerchief slide. I've seen other people carve out the letters OA, but not seen something quite like that before. Here's a couple of just leather ones you probably guys have seen. If you've watched these unboxings, you've seen similar ones to this. Here's an international slide. You can always sort of tell that the fleur-de-lis of that one is not American styled. He could have traded for this at a jamboree, because almost all these jamborees, they would have had scouts from other countries. And then tell me if you've seen this before. You don't really come across these very often. You have got to have some skill if you can carve a ball inside of a little cage. Now, I mean, I don't have to explain this to some of you who are scouts, but if you're not, from the tradition, let me just share this with you. This was a solid piece of wood, and that's how all of this got attached. That ball was literally carved out while it was inside there. You got to have some talent to do that. I'm telling y'all, it's very hard to do. Oh my gosh, look at this. I mean, this like Halloween's coming up for me. That's pretty good. And then this one's beautiful. These are really, really, really nice neckerchief slides. I mean, golly. I mean, these are really, really, I'm very impressed. And also just by the designs, they're very original. I mean, look at these. These aren't like, the ones that they were doing in the Boys Life magazine and like 100 different kids had the same kit. These are very original designs. And I can see why everything was bubble wrapped, because they really have held up over time. And then here's a little leather one here. Again, this might be a little more of what we recognize as being a summer camp type thing. And then we have this guy here. This certain style I've seen, but this is again some really, really good carving on that. So, and then this doesn't surprise me at all. I've seen these quite a few times in collections. Basically, like a vertebrae from a cow, probably that could be used as a neckerchief slide. Just going right through that little spinal cord spot there. So, all right. I think I've pretty much gone through everything. So again, my plan for this collection is to try to put these items together. I've got to figure out a pretty deep case for this, because especially some of these neckerchief slides that are so cool, I want to be able to share those. Those would be very inspirational for anybody. We still teach wood carving merit badge at summer camp, so I don't know if it would intimidate a young scout to see that kind of level of skill, but maybe it would inspire them. Who knows? So, Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. This is what I do. I buy scouting memorabilia collections from old scouters, from families, and try to recycle them back into the program, share some of the history and the legacy to the next generation. Thanks very much for watching. If you want to see more videos, go to my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. There you can see probably, gosh, I'm probably getting close to 75 or 80 unboxing collections that I have done, and then lots of other stuff as well, my newsletter, my podcast, etc. Thanks very much.